Alrighty. 4chan versus Mexico's most dangerous cartel by Pezle? Pezle? I don't know. We'll jump in. We'll see. We'll see what 4chan has done again. Who 4chan has been at war with once again, except for the UK.
The year is 2011, and the Los Zetas cartel is one of the most powerful organizations in the modern world. Known for their brutalness, this Mexican cartel had been responsible for numerous massacres, wiping out whole villages of people. From lavish drug kingpins to even a human trafficking ring, Los Zetas is filled with highly trained individuals, many of whom were former members of Mexico's special forces.
I find it hilarious that you used the Gerudo Desert theme. By the way.
At this point, Los Zetas owned about a third of Mexico, along with many paid-off politicians and businessmen. They even had a web of taxi drivers who would feed them information so they could keep tabs on where their enemies were located. Los Zetas used their immense power and wealth to stay in the shadows, hidden from the public view. Because of this, the Los Zetas cartel felt truly invincible. However, they would soon be thrust into the spotlight when 4chan's hacker group Anonymous declared war. But before we get to that, our story goes back around 1 year prior, at the end of 2010.
Oh boy, 2010. Almost barely sentient around that time still. Nah, it was not. I grew up way too fast. Cartel are dangerous. No shit, Houston. You mean Sherlock? Since when did that DLC drop? Since when did they change that one? Operation Paper Storm. Did it just flood Mexico with false money?
During this period, Anonymous was massive. They were well known and respected by almost everyone around the world. The only people that didn't respect Anonymous were the evil individuals and organizations that were deathly afraid of them. But those are stories for another time. Anyways, Anonymous decided to launch something called Operation Paper Storm, and they even released a video alongside it, explaining their goal to the public. The original video is quite long, so I'll only play the important parts.
Greetings, citizens of the world. We are Anonymous. I want to talk to you about an important topic, or rather, an important change. In the world there—
I didn't know Anonymous had a VTuber. Looks like an anonymous VTuber.
There are many wars with weapons, but there are more silent wars, which aim at the destruction of your fundamental rights. This silent war carried out by governments and private entities also want to make it more difficult for you to inform yourself about the events that are happening around you, filtering what you can and cannot search, say, or think. This is not only a waste of government money, but they also mess with the basics and freedom of the internet by trying in every way to privatize and censor information, websites and the free thought and word of the people. Anonymous, this is a revolution, and it's time to make a change. A change, no matter how small we can make it grow. This is an idea and you can't kill an idea, so take your mask, take to the street, and go public flyers, posters, stickers and spread them throughout your city. Come and participate in the event.
Nice. Okay. Okay. It's just hard to take them seriously like this, but yeah, it makes sense. Back when I was a baby, the good old days. How does it feel to know that when you missed everything that was important? How does it feel to know that you missed every important event in history? How does it feel to know that when stuff like this happened, you were shitting into your diapers?
Anonymous felt that the information today was being censored and manipulated before it reached the public. Big corporations, governments, and even bad actors were doing everything in their power to spread their agendas, and it was getting to the point where it was affecting one of the last places of free speech, the internet. Because of this, Anonymous called upon people from all around the globe to partake in Operation Paper Storm, which aimed to spread awareness.
Free speech is now no longer as big as it once was. Back then, probably, yes. But now even the internet isn't safe. Now even in the internet you cooked.
Of the problem, and even expose the corruption that is happening every day. A website was created to officially kick off the event, so that users could download the original flyers and even share pictures of their art. The flyers detailed what everyone was expected to do. The plan was that on December 18, 2010, users would take to the streets and post pictures of anything they wanted to tell the world. So no one would get caught, they would all wear masks and strike in the middle of the night. When the world would wake up the next morning, they would see all the flyers and posters that members of Anonymous spread. It was perfect. At the end of the day, Operation Paperstorm was extremely open-ended, and Anonymous just wanted to rise up together to stop the suppression of free information. So 4chan's Anonymous began printing out the flyers. Anonymous users participated everywhere from the Netherlands, to Istanbul, to Germany, to the UK.
Germans! Average IQ German brains participated as well. I see this as a win. This is another win. I witnessed one COVID-19. Can we type that word? The word? Yes, I don't know.
UK, to the United States, to Russia, to even South America. Operation Paperstorm was quite literally a global movement. And even though none of these Anonymous users knew each other, and they all probably had different backgrounds and upbringings, for that night, they were all united for a common cause. Anonymous did everything from exposing billionaires, to recruiting more people, to even displaying brave individuals in history, showing defiance against the system. This is what Anonymous was trying to portray, that they would stand up to anything for the good of the people, even if everyone else was being complacent. Operation Paperstorm would be a mild success, and users across the globe were able to show exactly what cause they were passionate about.
Not gonna lie, this is the first time I heard of this. I mean, I was 8 at the time, but still, this is the first time I heard of this. Interesting.
However, one brave user in particular, who went out to protest during Operation Paperstorm in Veracruz, Mexico, would soon have their life changed forever. Not much is known about who this individual is, but one thing is for sure, they printed out flyers that the Los Zetas didn't like at all. So in the midst of Operation Paperstorm, while this member of Anonymous was posting these flyers, they were kidnapped by the Los Zetas cartel. Anonymous would soon find out that one of their members was missing, and they were not going to let this slide easily, especially since the Los Zetas cartel encapsulated everything that Anonymous thought was wrong with the world. And so it began.
Operation Cartel. All right, let's see what they have cooked. Let's see what they have done.
On October 6, 2011, about 10 months after Operation Paperstorm, Anonymous released a video on YouTube directed to the leaders of the Los Zetas cartel. The original video is in Spanish, but I found an English version that was released alongside it.
Anonymous from Veracruz, Mexico, and the world, we want you to know that a member has been kidnapped when he was doing Paperstorm in our city. We demand his release. We want the Army and the Navy to know that we are fed up with the criminal group Zetas, who have concentrated on kidnapping, stealing and blackmailing in different ways. One of them is charging every honest and hard-working citizen of Veracruz who busts their ears working day after day to feed their families. We are fed up with taxi drivers, commanders and police Zetas officers of Xalapa, Cordoba, Orizaba, Nogales, Rio Blanco and Camarones, who are chickens and have made themselves the most loyal servants of these assholes. For the time being.
I would have never expected vile language. Vile language from Anonymous? Interesting.
We will not post photos or the names of the taxi drivers, the journalists or the newspapers, nor of the police officers. But if needed, we will publish them including their addresses, to see if by doing so the government will arrest them. We cannot defend ourselves with a weapon, but if we can do this with their cars, houses, bars, brothels and everything else in their possession, it will not be difficult. We all know who they are and where they are. You made a huge mistake by taking one of us. Release him. And if anything happens to him, you will always remember this upcoming November 5th. Knowledge is free. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Wait and see.
Curious now how the cartel is gonna respond. Are they gonna try and find anonymous people? Are they gonna just, like, I don't know, delete the dude that they got? What is gonna happen? Is Anonymous gonna release all the names and addresses? It's always gonna silent people, like one dude who made gasoline from plastic waste and went missing for months. Yeah, the problem is though that we technically know that this is not a thing new, right? Technically. Also, the problem is I wouldn't put that on the government because they get nothing out of, like, this is not gonna do any harm. You know why? The energy needed to turn plastic waste into gasoline again is not worth it on the long term. It is not worth it on the long term. That's just how it is. It is not worth it. The energy needed to do that is just more than the gasoline you get out of it. Maybe they recruited him or they offed him.
Anonymous was furious that one of its members was captured by Los Zetas. Because of this, they threatened to publicly release the names and addresses of the cartel supporters unless they safely released their captured member, and they had until November 5th, about a whole month, to do so. If Anonymous released this information, it would absolutely cripple the cartel and would leave many of the members exposed to Mexico's federal government. This video sent shockwaves across Mexico, and people from all around the world were interested to see what would happen next. Anonymous then started the hashtag OPCartel on Twitter, which stood for Operation Cartel. They then waited for a response from Los Zetas. And waited, and waited. But after a few weeks, Los Zetas didn't respond to Anonymous.
After a few weeks, that poor guy. After a few weeks? After a few weeks. Yeah, bro's cooked. Bro's gone.
So they decided to release their first leak. They posted a website exposing the first member of Los Zetas, a man named Gustavo Rosario Torres, who was a Mexican government official at the time. A few years prior, he was accused of receiving $200,000 from a cocaine deal, and Anonymous not only confirmed this, but accused him of being completely bought out by the cartel. The video, along with the leak, was a massive threat to Los Zetas, and they felt like they couldn't appear weak. The question is though, how do you fight back Anonymous? They are people from all walks of life, all around the world, without a central unit to target. It's quite literally impossible unless you want to start hunting them down one by one. But even that would be a massive challenge, especially when these users are using proxies to hide their locations. Los Zetas made it very clear that if Anonymous began exposing the people who worked for them, there would be a massive loss of life. Not only would they kill the person who was exposed, but they would even try to track down members of Anonymous. Intelligence agencies such as Stratfor warned that Los Zetas would hire their own computer scientists to track down anyone who posed a threat. Los Zetas have actually done this in the past by hunting down various journalists who continuously talked badly about them. This created a massive divide in Anonymous.
Interesting. Well, that will cause a problem. What was the solution to that? What was the solution to that?
Some users wanted to keep going and expose everything about Los Zetas, while other users thought that it simply wasn't worth it at all, and were afraid that the cartel would try to kill them and the people they exposed.
Hashtag OPCartel is dead. I do not wish to endanger other Anons.
Due to the safety risk imposed on all Anons, hashtag OPCartel is dead. Repeat, hashtag OPCartel is dead.
Although most users decided to back off, the Spanish-American users of Anonymous were too passionate and decided to proceed, even if it meant they had a chance of dying. They released a blog on the Anonymous Ibero-American website, talking about their plans to expose the cartel, to try to dismantle it once and for all. They also urged the less experienced members of Anonymous to stay away for a while, so that they wouldn't get tracked down and killed. Anonymous then explained that there was a special task force made, which contained some of the best hackers that Spanish America had to offer. Anonymous then made another blog post, sending different messages to the cartels, the Mexican government, and lastly, the people of the world. This post was a rallying cry to let everyone know that they were angry and meant business. They wanted change, so that the Spanish parts of America would be a better place to live, without the violence and corruption that the citizens had to deal with. It appeared as if Anonymous was not going to back down, and it was going to be an all-out war. However, only a few days after this post, everything seemed to change. Another blog was posted to the site, and what it contained was interesting. The member who was kidnapped by Los Zetas was released from their custody and returned safely home. Although he was badly bruised, he didn't have any long-lasting injuries.
Okay, that's good. A war between cartel and hacker group. Who are you cheering for? Obviously the hackers. Not the cartel, obviously. What kind of question is that?
The blog also explained that Los Zetas had a message for Anonymous, which they told the member before he was set free. For each name Anonymous released that was connected to the Los Zetas cartel, they would execute 10 people, starting with the family of the Anonymous user that was kidnapped. Because of this, Anonymous came to the consensus that it wasn't worth putting all of these innocent people in danger, so they decided to leave it be. Strangely, many different articles speak about this, and they all say that there was no evidence that a member of Anonymous was even captured in the first place. There were no police reports of missing people that fit the lost member during that period. Who knows if someone was actually kidnapped or not, or what any of these organizations' true intentions were. But one thing still stands.
Are you implying that there's a mole?
The final post ended one of the most insane internet standoffs of all time.
Okay, so what we got from this was a battle, but they essentially lost. They essentially lost. They couldn't win against the cartel because the cartel had physical violence, which they could exert. The hacker group did not, so they eventually had to stop. With question asked because the hackers aren't really the good guys, but in comparison, the cartel squeaky clean. Yeah. In comparison, they are way better than the cartel that would offer to delete 10 people per released information. That's not fine. That's not fine. Anyways, fight cartels. Like, comment, and subscribe.